everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearthstone 4 Kaiserreich as the NRA, not the NRA, well, I guess technically the NRA, the KMT. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So we have won the League War, we're looking pretty good, we're hosting our first Congress, and we are ready to go. Determining the class base of the party. The Congress's first tenet was to address the Kuomintang's utmost duty to uplifting the oppressed workers and peasants of China. In the spirit of the first reorganization, the Kuomintang was to awaken the masses and to unite together with the peasants, workers, merchants, and students in order to defeat their shared enemies, the imperialists and the warlords. Within considered elements, especially the elders of the party, the Kuomintang should represent the whole people during the national revolution. The elder Wu Jiwu even argued that good landlords and merchants should join the revolution alongside the masses. Taking the stand after Wang's speech, RCA member Chen Gongbo and Shi Chunkon took to the floor to argue the class, however, was the most important question of the revolution, and the class struggle was the necessary evolution of the Chinese Revolution. Citing the efforts of Song Jingling's peasants in the Mungan insurgency and the strikes of 1932, Si and Shen blasted Wu for citing a former saying from Sun, in which the party's founder said the national revolution should accomplish socialism. While the definitive class base was drawn by both Song's populace and Wang's growing RCA faction in that the Kuomintang is to indeed henceforth be a party of workers and peasants, foreign observers have certainly noticed factional tensions rising beneath the facade of party unity. The RCA, after all, believes that the revolutionary cadre must be led by the masses, a move that many in the Song Jingling's Provisional Action Committee find offense at, as they do not see the revolution of the masses led by a pretentious elite. So we're going to get negative 35% stability, or worse part off this, plus 20% stability. We declare the National Revolutionary Government and prepare for one last chance to free China. We get a lot of compliance. When one state's hit 50% compliance, we get them as cores. I'm very, very happy to see that. Okay, return of the Reconstruction Faction. The leftist-dominated Central Executive Committee of the Kuomintang's reputation as the legitimate and heir of the Chinese National Party that had collapsed in the first Northern Expedition was nonetheless attracted the interest of various centrists and liberals. These men, who tended to waver in their alignment with the Kuomintang's right and left wings prior to the expedition's failure, destroyed the outwardly socialist development of the party across the last decade. Many of these Republicans chose to flee overseas to the United States, Hawaii, and Southeast Asia, where they make up the Overseas Committee of the Chinese Kuomintang, and extended the Kuomintang interest far away from China itself. Led primarily by Sun Fo, the son of the party's founder, these senators have been invited to participate in the first reputed Congress, and Sun Fo has been graciously offered a seat at the Central Executive Committee. They'd also joined by military officers who served in India during the Kuomintang's exile, General Xu Yi and Zhang Fukuo, who claim to be apolitical, although they certainly view the syndicalists as a persistent potential threat. As such, the combination of the Indian clique and the former Overseas Chinese Commission has led to the formation of the so-called Reconstruction Faction, which, based on Sun Fo's own words, is to rebuild or reconstruct the Kuomintang's party without resorting to the radical methods of reorganization. The Reconstruction Faction influence is tracked by the social liberal popularity in the party wheel. At lower level, they will serve as a moderating influence that reduces radicalism, but at higher levels, they will seem to subvert and increase radicalism. Keep on watching the party's reception of the liberal wing. Having Sun Fo as an advisor will help keep perceptions positive. And wheeling and dealing in Shanghai. So currently they have 6% popularity, which honestly is not, I think, anything to worry about. Shanghai is in many ways the beating heart of the Chinese economy. The home of various groups, both esteemed and unsavory, the center of Chinese trade, commerce, and finance, it attracts individuals and groups from all the walks of life. As a result, it has become a nexus point, a place where nationalists, Republicans, and even socialists can gather in secluded spaces to talk business. The Kuomintang have long operated out of Shanghai, even with the creation of the international mandate. Although legation authorities periodically try to crack down on our activities, in such a big city it is easy to find a friend. Chan Yarvan, who also goes by his birth name of Eugene, depending on the circumstances, has plenty of experience navigating through this world, the statuary of revolutionary crime and privilege. As the foreign minister for the government seldom recognized by reactionary powers, he's nonetheless been capable to steer clear of KMT and LCS cells, or the various gangs in the revolution has periodically partnered with. Instead, he has worked to solicit support from various upper-class contracts, one of the main gain insurgency had previously worked to keep them funded. Although divergent in their ultimate end goals, many of China's elites are nationalistic and Republican. Although their view on the party has dimmed since the enthusiasm of 1911, plenty remain at least open to outreach either out of habit or idealism. With some careful choice of words and rosy outlooks, it's not difficult to secure their support. What's more intriguing is the growing number of aspiring contacts, people who wish to run with the wolves, so to speak, and be on the winning side. Various members of the Overseas Chinese Commission and members of the Vermilion Society have eagerly sought Chen's audience ever since our various victories across the nation. Okay, so we can, with a polite tone and calculated restraints, so this gives us support for our social democracy and authoritarian democracy. Or we could allow the authoritarian Democrats to join the coalition. Political power goes up, and you are the Shanghai cliques. The Kuomintang has... I want to read this a little bit. I want to know what they're actually about. The Kuomintang has interest in political allies and the wealthy donors of Vermilion Society in the shadowy red light districts of Shanghai slums. Keeping communication with various nationalists in hopes of securing influence in legation cities with ties to Central Committee members. They represent a source of financial and political power rarely publicly acknowledged. Let's... Polite tone. Polite tone. Also, I never actually reset my timer, which is my fault. Okay, so the party. There's a lot of people we need to meet with the. Is there any time to help Indochina? They have lost Saigon. You know, let's see if we can maybe send them. We can send 3 divisions. Let's see if we can maybe do something with them. I kind of completely forgot about Indochina. Like, I'm sorry, Indochina. We'll send these divisions in. They'll probably take this port, and we'll kind of see how that goes. Tensions within the League of Chinese Syndicalists. The proclamation of the Wu Revolutionary and Socialist Chinese government has led to a growing sense of excitement and patriotism within the Chinese left wing. The conglomerate of socialist thinkers, intellectuals, and writers who were not party members of the Chinese Kuomintang formed the fragile coalition of the League of Chinese Syndicalists, the largest faction of which is the Chinese Syndicalist Party. Tensions nonetheless begun to emerge between the LCS. Ideologically, not all socialists in the LCS adhere to the belief that China is already in the capitalist society. A young generation of radical socialists called the Radical Faction of the LCS has declared that Chinese society is already in the capitalist mode of production, and that both peasants and the workers are constrained in a system of capitalism, a system that must be destroyed by the revolution. Older conservative members of the LCS, such as Dong Biwu and Lin Bokyu, the Orthodox faction, have insisted voices for cooperation within the Chinese Kuomintang, and many of them adhere to the belief that China is still a semi-feudal nation. Separate from the CPS of radical and Orthodox wings is the world society, a generation of old and idealistic anarchists who believe in the proud Honest ideals of class reconciliation and universal harmony. Represented by the party elders such as Li Shizhen, Wu Zhihu, and other people, they absolutely abhor and fear the class conflict stoked by radical members of the RCA and those cloaked within the LCS. They're going to lose stability. Syndicom's going to get a little bit more popular. It's an unwieldy coalition. Its influence depends on which faction dominates it. Okay. We'll free China. I mean, we need to take Saigon back, that is for sure. Our volunteers will be getting there on the 2nd. Hopefully they will actually arrive in time. Maybe we can help them out. The question of ethnic autonomy. Ethnic relations within China have not always been so peaceful. But it was the great Dr. Sun Yat-sen who theorized that the notion of Minzu, from the 3 principles of the people, was necessary to prevent the nation from falling into disorder and chaos. Interestingly enough, his earlier opinion seems to be encouraging the notion of a dominant Han ethnicity, but it's evident from the declaration of the 1924 reorganization of the Kuomintang. Some proclaim that the Kuomintang's anti-imperialist mission also includes securing self-determination for all domestic Minzu. But the notion of the Minzu itself is disputed, as Sun considers the great races of Qing China, aside from the Han majority, the Tibets, the Mongols, the Manchus, and the Hu, as mere relics of an ancient social structure. Instead, the late premier's stance was that the Minzu of China were all subordinate to the ethnic dominant Hanzu, the Han ethnicity. It was therefore the more cultured and sophisticated Hanzu destiny to lead the Minzu into the evolutionary formation of a single Han Zhonghoya Minzu. In the National Revolution, all notions of self-determination were to be suspended until the period of tutelage is passed, as the country's Minzu are merely inept to rule themselves. The Republican Congress, in particular Wang Jinwei's faction, is mostly in favor of following Sun's principles. Nonetheless, the Provincial Action Committee has voiced openly that they would be more than happy to promise a degree of self-autonomy for the minorities, provided they support the KMT, of course. While the Mongolian or Tibetan Affairs Commission has been formed, the official doctrine of said department is to train these people to adopt the revolutionary spirit of the superior Hanzu Kuomintang. But until the warlords and imperialists have been comprehensively defeated, the question of ethnic minority shall remain indisputably answered by only the Kuomintang. Okay. So, we need some... Can I import steel? I have literally no factory, so the answer to the question is absolutely not. Consumer goods right now is at 40%, which seems pretty bad. We got 3 divisions that landed here. Here's my thoughts, okay? We're gonna free this encirclement so that these 4 divisions will go somewhere else. Literally anywhere else. After that, we're gonna see if we can maybe take Saigon back. We're at 75. We reinforce this as much as we possibly can. And the closing of the Congress. Well, let's go for provisional fund. We can get a little bit more party legitimacy. Let's establish our own currency. I think that seems like it'd be reasonable. And the closing of the Congress. After several weeks of long deliberations, the Second Representation Congress of the Kuomintang has formally adjourned. Although much has been decided upon, there are plenty left unresolved, and subtle fractures have begun to form between Wang's loyalists and his divided opposition. In the meantime, as delegates and representatives prepare to head for home, they have decided to entrust the third and latest Central Executive Committee to manage the party affairs. Headed by Chairman Wang Jinwei and Vice Chairman Lei Zhangquai, the two have joined the 22 others. You can read all those names at your own leisure. Given disciplinary powers and say with over financial affairs of the Central Supervision Committee, made up of Kuomintang stalwarts, Chi Huanpei, Li Zizhen, and more. There's a lot of names, okay? A lot of people are involved in the KMT. Both committees have also have extensive and carefully negotiated alternative member rosters. A delicate balance of power has been erected, with Wang and his RCA carefully moving to consolidate his government without provoking executive backlash from those increasingly antagonized by his efforts to assert his authority. Perhaps in best encapsulating this emerging power gains being played is Wang's decision to appoint Sun Fu as vice premier of the Executive Yuan, to help remove a rival from loyalist Shen Zhongbo's bid to become premier of the Legislative Yuan. Although the full cabinet is yet to be named, Song Xinling and his PAC allies are said to already be grumbling about lack of representation, feeling deliberately locked out. However, it's unlikely they can do much to contest the president's appointments. Or can they? The Left Kuomintang balance of power mechanic is fairly straightforward, in that it measures the relative influence of the two major parties, the RCA and the PAC. Okay, so I'm guessing this is now unlocked. We are currently lining ourselves towards the RCA. Has completed national okay. So we will be going towards Wang Jinwei. Primarily because I think, again, last time when we played the left KMT, we did go with Song. So we can see if we can do something, you know, at least a little bit different here. Okay, so you are currently at war. I don't think we can exploit that, unfortunately, right now. As much as I could, as much as I would like that. Okay, current radicalism. Okay, we gotta look at all this shit. If we were a neighbor with my clique, we could maybe align with them. Are they social liberal? Social conservative? The China Revival Society. At the Kuomintang representatives assembled in politics in Nanjing, plenty left outside the negotiating table found time to gather on their own. Away from the public spotlight, a different set of ideas and ideals swirled. Many disaffected WWII alumni stewing in exile far from home across the last decade have gathered together within the Academy's tightly woven networks. More ideological and radical of this bunch turned to He Zhonghan and Deng Wenyi, mid-level staff officers who promote a nationalistic, totalist, and anti-establishment line. Having returned, they have proudly begun calling their secret fraternity the Revolutionary Army Comrades Association, the RCA. The secret circle within the larger secret circle. They nervously presented their ideas before Hu Zhongnan, director of the Walpole's training department, and other sympathetic commanders in a backroom meeting. Although short by stature, Hu is one of the eldest Wupoi's first graduating class, age 28 in 1924, and his favorite of the former headmaster. Elements he exploited to assert a native authority over many of his peers and students. To the delight of the attendees, who gave his approval of the RACA's agenda for his fellow young guard officers and formally accepted his role as their Lingzhu. In his speech, the general swore to ensure the Chinese Revolution will never again be the victim of foreign imperialism or petty infighting. Wielding the RACA, the League of Ten, and other radical officers together in the one fighting movement, the China Revival Society is born. So right now, the radicals are at 15%. 20% aligned with the radicals, 50% aligned with the Orthodox. Okay, no, this is the League of Chinese Syndicalists. Everybody sees the liberals as a moderating force. China's Revamped society, they're at 15%. Overall, I'd say things are going pretty okay. But I will say that at least for right now, this is going to be a good time for us to end off this episode. So if you enjoyed, thumbs up. You're not enjoying, click thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.